My brother stopped answering my calls 3 months after we came down from that tower. Not because he was angry, not because he moved away, because every time I said his name, he did go silent. Like he was listening for something that might be listening back. The doctors called it trauma, PTSD from a hiking accident. But I know what we saw up there, and I know it wasn't an accident. This is what happened in the Great Smoky Mountains, December 2023, at a fire lookout tower that has been officially closed since 1994. A tower that someone is still maintaining. My younger brother Jake and I hadn't spoken properly in 2 years. Not since our dad died. Heart attack, sudden, the kind that takes someone in the middle of a sentence. Jake took it harder than anyone. Stopped working, stopped going out, just sat in his apartment playing video games and ignoring calls. Mom asked me to do something. Anything. So I suggested what Dad would have done. Get out. Go hiking. Clear your head in the mountains. Jake agreed, but only if we did this route. The old fire trail, the one Dad used to take us on as kids before they closed half the park. Before the tower became off limits, we planned it for mid-December. Most people avoid winter hiking in the Smokies. Trails get icy. Fog rolls in thick. Temperatures drop below freezing at night. But that's when Dad loved it most. He said winter made the mountains honest. No tourists, no noise, just you in the woods. We packed smart. Thermal layers, GPS, emergency beacon. Enough food for 3 days, even though it was a 2-day trip. I checked the weather forecast obsessively. Clear skies, no storms predicted. We were as prepared as you could be. It didn't matter. We started early, before sunrise. The park ranger at the entrance, older guy, weathered face, looked at our route map and frowned. Old fire trail? He said, that section has been closed since the 90s. We're not going all the way up. I lied. Just the lower ridge. He stared at me for a long moment. Then he leaned closer. If you do go up there, he said quietly, stay on the marked trail. The blazes we maintain, don't follow anything else. Why? He didn't answer. Just waved us through. The first few hours were normal. Cold, crisp air, snow crunching under our boots. Jake was quiet. But that was expected. We hadn't really talked yet. Just walked. Around noon, I noticed something. No birds. Not a single sound. No wind in the trees. No distant rustle of animals. Just our footsteps and our breathing. Jake noticed too. It was too quiet, he said. I tried to laugh it off. Winter, everything was hibernating. But it wasn't that. It was the kind of quiet that presses on your ears. Like the forest was holding its breath. At 2 p.m., we reached the fork. According to our map, there was one trail continuing up to the tower. One path, but there were two. The right fork was overgrown, barely visible under the snow. Dead branches hung low. It looked like no one had walked it in years. The left fork was clear. Freshly cleared, someone had cut back the branches, removed fallen logs. Recent work. I could see sawdust on the snow, not yet covered. Jake looked at the map, then at the trails. Map says right, he said. I stared at the left path. It looked so much easier. Safer, even. Someone has been maintaining this one, I said. Park Service, probably. Jake shook his head. Ranger said this section is closed. Why would they maintain a closed trail? I didn't have an answer. But the left path looked so clear. And we were tired. And it was getting colder. Let's just follow it a bit, I said. See where it goes. If it is wrong, we all backtrack. Jake hesitated, then nodded. We went left. 20 minutes in, Jake stopped. Look, he said, pointing at the snow. Footprints. Fresh ones. Boot prints. Heading in the same direction we were going. But here's the thing. They only went one way. Forward. Into the forest. None coming back. Someone else is up here, Jake said. I felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cold. Maybe they went down a different trail, I said. Jake didn't answer. He was staring at the prints. They were small, too small for a man, maybe a woman or a teenager. And they were deep, like whoever made them was carrying something heavy. An hour later, the fog rolled in. It came fast. 1 minute the trail was clear, the next we were surrounded by thick, gray mist. Visibility dropped to maybe 20 feet. That is when we saw the figure, a person, standing about 30 feet ahead. Tall, thin, wearing what looked like an old park ranger jacket. Facing away from us, motionless. "Hey!" I called out. No response. We walked closer. The figure didn't move. "Excuse me," Jake shouted. The fog shifted, and the figure was gone. Just empty trail. No footprints in the snow. Nothing. Jake and I looked at each other. "Did you?" he started. "Yeah." We stood there in silence. My heart was pounding. The fog pressed in closer, muffling everything. Then Jake grabbed my arm. "Listen," he whispered. Footsteps. Behind us. Slow, steady, crunching in the snow. We turned around. Nothing. But the footsteps continued, circling us. First on the left, then the right, then behind again. "We need to move," Jake said. We ran. We didn't stop until the fog thinned. When we finally looked back, the trail behind us was empty. Our own footprints, the ones we just made running, were gone. The snow was smooth, undisturbed. "That is not possible," Jake said, his voice shaking. I pulled out the GPS, tried to get our position. The screen flickered, then went black. "Battery is full," I said. "It should be working." Jake checked his phone. Same thing. Dead. We were lost. Completely. "We keep going up," I said. "The tower has to be close. We can get our bearings from there." Jake looked like he wanted to argue, but there was nowhere else to go. We climbed. We reached the tower just before dusk. It was exactly like Dad described it. Tall, metal frame, wooden cabin at the top. Rusty ladder leading up. Half the steps were missing or rotted through. But something was wrong. The door at the top, the cabin door, was new. Fresh wood. I could smell the pine from the ground. And there was light inside. A faint, warm glow through the window. "Someone is up there," Jake whispered. I looked around. No vehicles. No other tracks in the snow. Just ours. "Hello," I called up. No answer. Jake started climbing. I followed. The ladder creaked with every step. Some of the rungs flexed under my weight, threatening to snap. But we made it to the platform. The door was unlocked. The cabin was small, maybe 10 by 10 feet. Windows on all sides. A desk in the center with an old logbook and a two-way radio. And it was warm, not heated. There was no stove, no heater. But the air inside was warm, like someone had just been breathing in here. Jake walked to the desk, opened the logbook. His face went white. "What?" I said. He turned it toward me. The page was filled with neat handwriting. Recent entries. The ink was still wet. December 18th, 2023, 14:32. 2 subjects observed ascending via Western Fork. Male, 6, 1, dark blue jacket, black beanie. Male, 5, 10, gray jacket, red backpack. Both appear fatigued, neither carrying sufficient winter gear. Visibility decreasing. Fog protocol initiated. That was today. That was us. I felt my stomach drop. "Who wrote this?" Jake said, his voice barely a whisper. I looked at the description. It was perfect, down to the color of my beanie. Details no one should know unless they were watching us closely. The next entry, 1447 subjects encountered redirect at Fork. Proceeded as intended. Observation continuing. "We need to leave," I said. "Now." But Jake was staring at something else. The corner of the room. Footprints. Small, narrow prints in the dust on the floor, leading from the desk to the ladder in the ceiling. The ladder that went up to the attic. Someone had been here. Someone small. And they'd gone up. Jake. Don. T. I started. But he was already pulling the attic ladder down. It swung open with a creak. Darkness above. That same warm air, but heavier now. Thick. Jake climbed up 2 steps. "Stop. There is something up here," he whispered. "Come down," I said. Leaving. "No. Look. There. A sound from above." Movement. Fast. Something scrambling across the attic floor. Jake screamed and fell backward off the ladder. I caught him, and we both crashed into the desk. Above us, at the edge of the attic opening, something appeared. A hand. Pale. Thin. Fingers too long. And then a face, but wrong. The angle was wrong, like the head was bent backward or upside down. I couldn't process what I was seeing. My brain kept trying to flip the image, make it make sense. The eyes were open, too wide, staring at us, and then it smiled. Not a happy smile, a pulled smile, like someone had hooked the corners of the mouth and yanked. Jake was screaming. I was screaming. We ran. We hit the ladder at full speed. I went first, jumping 3 rungs at a time. Jake was right behind me. Above us. A sound. Clicking. Fast. Like fingernails on metal. It was on the ladder. Coming down. I reached the ground and ran. Didn't look back. Just ran into the trees. Behind me. Jake yelling. A crash. He fallen? I turned back. Jake was on the ground, clutching his ankle. And on the platform above, it was climbing down. Not using the ladder anymore. Just crawling down the side of the tower. Limbs bending in ways they shouldn't. Moving fast. I grabbed Jake and pulled him up. He screamed in pain but ran. We crashed through the forest. No trail, no direction, just away. The clicking followed us. Sometimes close, sometimes far, but always there. We ran for what felt like hours. My lungs burned. Jake was limping badly, using me for support. Finally, we stopped. Collapsed against a tree. Silence. The clicking was gone. I looked around. We were in a part of the forest I didn't recognize. Dense trees. Deep snow. No trail. Jake was crying. Not from pain. From fear. What was that? He kept saying. What the fuck was that? I didn't answer. I didn't. I pulled out the GPS. Still dead. Tried the emergency beacon. Nothing. We were completely lost. And then I saw it. A trail marker. Orange paint on a tree. Fresh paint. The kind Park Services use. Look, I said, pointing. Jake looked up, saw the marker. We follow it, I said. It won't lead us out. But something about it felt wrong. The placement. The freshness. Like it had been painted just for us. We followed it anyway. We had no choice. The markers led us down. Steadily, clearly, every 100 feet, another orange blaze. After 2 hours, we saw lights. The parking lot. Our car. We stumbled out of the woods. A park ranger was there. Different one from the morning. Younger. Jesus, you guys okay? He said. We were about to send search and rescue. You've been gone 12 hours. 12? It felt like days. He drove us to the ranger station. Gave us coffee. Asked what happened. I tried to explain. The tower. The logbook. The thing in the attic. He listened. Didn't interrupt. When I finished, he was quiet for a long time. Then he said, that tower has been locked for 30 years. Door is chained from the outside. No one has been inside since 1994. But we were just in the old fire trail, he continued. The section you re-describing? It was decommissioned in 92. We don't maintain it. We don't mark it. Haven in decades. Jake and I looked at each other. Then who painted the markers? I asked. The ranger didn't answer. 2 days after we got back, I was unpacking my gear in my apartment. Still couldn't sleep right. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that face in the attic. I grabbed my backpack to put it away, and something felt off. Heavier than it should be. I checked the main pocket. Nothing unusual. Then the side pocket. The small one I literally never use. My hand touched something cold. Metal. I pulled it out. A trail marker. The official metal kind. The type you see bolted to posts in national parks. But this one was old. Really old. I turned it over. Stamped on the back. GSMNP 1987 Fire Lookout Route decommissioned. My hands started shaking. I didn't take this. I've never even touched one of these before. They remounted to posts. You can just pull them off. Someone put this in my bag while I was up there. While we were in that tower. Someone wanted me to have it. Wanted me to know this was real. I couldn't let it go. Spent weeks on my laptop at 3 a.m. searching old news archives, missing persons databases, anything about that tower. I found something. Between 1985 and 1994, 11 hikers went missing in that area. All in winter. All somewhere near the fire lookout. I cross-referenced Park Service records. It was all there, buried in incident reports. None of them were ever found. But their gear was. I found a search and rescue report from 1993. They recovered a backpack and boots 6 miles from the trail. in a direction that made no sense. The victim they had to walk uphill through dense forest in the middle of the night, barefoot. The tower was closed after the last disappearance in '94. A college student named Sarah Chen. I found her parents. They still live in Tennessee. Her mom sent me a scan of Sarah's journal, the one the rangers found in the cabin. I read the last entry 3 times before I believed it. Someone is watching from the attic. I can hear them moving up there. But when I climbed up to check, there was nothing. Just markers. Hundreds of trail markers. All pointing down. Last week, I tried calling Jake again. I'd been trying every few days since we got back. Sometimes he'd answer and just breathe. Sometimes he'd pick up at all. This time, he answered on the first ring. "Jake?" I said. Silence. But I could hear him there. Breathing. Slow. Steady. "Jake, it's me. Are you okay?" "Mom." I was worried sick. And then I heard it. In the background. Faint. Distant. Clicking. Fast. Rhythmic clicking. Like fingernails on metal. My blood went cold. "Jake, where are you?" The clicking got louder. Closer to the phone. "Jake." The line went dead. I'd been called 100 times since. Straight to voicemail. His mom went to his apartment. He wasn't there. His car was in the parking lot. Door unlocked. Phone on the table. He's been missing for 6 days now. The police have opened a case. They asked me questions. I told them everything. They looked at me like I was crazy. But they found him. And I know they won. I know that tower is still standing. Still locked. Still empty. At least, that is what they tell people. But I've seen the reports. Every winter, someone posts on hiking forums about fresh trail markers in that area. Orange blazes that shouldn't be there, leading somewhere off the map. And every winter, someone goes missing. I keep that metal marker on my desk. Look at it every day. The date stamped on the back, 1987. The year before the disappearances started. Sometimes late at night, when my apartment is completely silent, I hear it. Clicking, faint, distant, getting closer.